Welcome back to the Joe Rogan Experience. Tonight, relax and enjoy some of the most fascinating and mind-bending stories from the podcast, the kind that'll make you think, then help you drift off to sleep.
Top shocking future technologies that could change humanity forever. 6 secrets they don't want you to know. Joe Rogan 2025.
Exactly.
Boy, it sounds good, doesn't it? God, I want to believe. So hard.
Well, I hope you do, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Well, I want to know what you've seen though. So you've seen this piece of metal. What else have you seen?
I've seen many documents on the studies of these things, and I've seen a lot of the science associated with what the technology is and what it does. Like I could show you if I fold up pieces of paper and stuff what's going on with it, but basically, these craft. They travel in a straight line, but they're folding space-time.
Like in Event Horizon, where they explain it by folding a piece of paper and punching a pencil through it. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Great fucking movie.
But it's more like, here, I can draw it for you here. Not that this is it's kind of like when you have 2 points, we're used to traveling in a direction like that. Mm-hmm. And so when we look up, we see a plane that goes straight.
Right.
But these UFOs fold space-time like this, and so it looks like to them they're going in a straight line. So if you're in the ship, you see that. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the ground, you see that.
Okay.
That's why you see them blink off and on. A lot of those videos they're on, it looks like they're jumping. It's just because of this.
So
they're folding space-time.
Some way of interfacing with space itself that's very different than our idea of traveling in a linear way from point A to point B.
Space, the fabric, they call it the fabric of space-time because it's like a fabric. It's malleable.
Now, let me ask you this. How often into a conversation do people look at you and think you are fucking crazy when you start talking about this? And how long
all the time, yeah.
All the time, right? But do you ever get to the point where you're like, I don't want to talk about this?
No, because I always tell people you don't know what I know, and there's a lot.
No. I mean, like, do you ever get to the point where you're like, I can't do this anymore? Like,
no.
People think I'm fucking crazy.
No, because I'm involved on the most important shit I've ever been in my life.
So you think this is like the most important thing that you've ever done in your life?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, I have meetings with senators coming up. Like,
do you?
Oh, fuck yeah,
What
I do.
senators?
I can't tell you.
Damn, it's all this I can't tell you stuff.
I know, because this is some fucking tricky shit.
When is all this going to come out? Like, it seems like this is like eminent disclosure type shit.
Watch
right?
what my company does. That's what I'll say.
So what is your company? What are you trying to do?
Well, we created. So if you look at the people involved, we have when you get to the senior levels of government, you're either called an SES or SIS, Senior Intelligence Service, Senior Executive Service, or you're a brass. But either way, the civilians have the same kind of ranking charter that the brass does. So a SES 3, SAS 3 would be the same thing as a 3-star general. So that's who these people are around me. So I had the head of the Skunk Works Engineering. I got a SIS 2-star from the Clandestine Directorate of Operations. I have a guy Undersecretary of Intelligence for the Senate Intelligence Committee, and was
these guys are retired.
The quasi
Everyone's retired, quasi-retired.
Well, they all
left.
They are our current
public life. They now are involved with what you're doing.
The way they are current consultants to the the intelligence community.
Okay,
that's probably the most.
And involved in this project with clearance.
They all have their top secret TSSCI clearances. Yeah, I'm the only one that does it on my entire team. I'm the only one that does it. Actually, Lou, that just came out, I hired him away, so he was head of all. He was in charge of all classified operations for Secretary of Defense Mattis. So he was what's called a GS-15, right underneath the 1, 2, and 3 stars. He ran the Advanced Aerial Threat Program, and it's still continuing to this day, and he's with us now.
So the Advanced Aerial Threat Program under the United States government is essentially a UFO.
That's one of the
information gathering and assessment.
Assessment of all of what those machines are doing that gives off all these types of effects that people are witnessing. But there's also a very large group of people that have had within government that have had close contact, like hundreds, and it's connected to my group, and there's just more coming in that way. So that program is trying to figure out what those technologies did to those people and how those technologies work, even though and it's more it's more about tasking, our assets like satellites and other things to be able to find these things better. But this is different than the Secret Machines book, which is more of another thing altogether.
So is there communication between the United States government and alien life forms?
I personally, I don't know any of this stuff because I'm not invited to those types of meetings, but I personally wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
You wouldn't doubt it, but they've never alluded to it or discussed it with you in any way?
Not this group of people, no.
Is there any speculation as to what they're doing?
Resource extraction,
like minerals,
empire building.
Life,
I tell people
sperm, eggs.
I think it's
cheese.
I think it's tacos.
They're here
I
for
think
water.
they're here for the same reason I am. But I tell people like a good way to look at this is like look at Syria, and Syria's in chaos because the United States and Russia are having a proxy war there. Mm-hmm. Now look at the Earth. It's the exact same thing. Different races are coming here, and they're trying to win against each other.
So there's more than one race.
Yeah.
How many
this
different
universe we're talking about.
Right. But there's a bunch of different creatures, and they all have the same sort of technology?
Yeah, and some are very human. Some look just like you and I.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, is there any sort of speculation as to why life forms from other planets, other galaxies, other solar systems, different kind of gravity, different environments, would create a life form that's exactly similar to us? Or are they imitating what we look like in order to infiltrate our world and hang with us?
I think probably
unknowingly.
I think all the above. Look, if you look at like Syria, are you just going to say it's only Russia and America there? No, China's probably there. France is probably there. Mm-hmm. I personally think the little aliens with the big black eyes, those are androids. They're biological robots. They're just programmed. There's no different than us cloning sheep. They just clone a being that can travel through space because space
or
is very
some sort
big.
of an artificial intelligence thing that
It
doesn't
is
have
AI.
a life form, right? I've heard that idea before, and it kind of makes sense a little bit, right? If you're a living thing and you're traveling through space, obviously you have biological limitations in terms of the need for oxygen and gravitational interactions and all these different things.
Well,
that would
one of the scary
fuck with us.
hallmarks of those ones, the rumor is it in the back of their head is a transmitter. So you got to wonder where it's sending shit. But at the same time, I can tell you that when you look at the Bible, the angels and the demons of the Bible would be the humans and the androids that I just told you about.
So you think the grays are the androids, right?
Yeah.
And so you think they're like some sort of devil?
No, I just think that that's how we characterized it because they come in, control
Right.
your thoughts, control your body, take you.
us in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Demons,
So do you think these things are traveling from where? Do we have any idea?
There's things that have been put out there, but I've never asked.
Why would you not ask that?
What the fuck? You tell me star system like 483? And
Well, you know about element 115. I would want to know about Starship Enterprise coordinate 115B65 Polaris, wherever the fuck it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that there's connections to man, you won't even fucking believe it. I'll tell you that. You want to hear?
Please.
Atlantis.
Atlantis, the sunken city?
Yeah.
There's a connection?
There's a connection.
What's the connection?
That there's a very advanced group that left after a catastrophe and hung around in a small outpost here and throughout time would push civilization forward, and that's who the Greek gods were.
Whoa.
Yep. And that's why it's very interesting on the Roswell wreckage there's Greek writing.
Is there?
There is.
I've never seen any of the wreckage from Roswell. Have you?
It's online. You see it. Type in Roswell wreckage. You can see it.
Well,
Type in
all I've ever seen is the dude standing in front of the bullshit, the weather balloon stuff, where they're laughing and yucking it up.
Roswell wreckage, Roswell I-beam. You'll see it. And it's got these Greek markings and the witnesses that were there did what do you call it? Where they go on oath and tell. So that
actual I-beam showing the word Eleftheria,
which means freedom in ancient Greek. So
where is that from, Jamie?
Let me tell you. Want me to?
I don't know. It popped up when it.
Well,
I'm going to tell you something else. So
Okay.
I went and met a former director of CIA and NSA. He was director of both. I won't tell you his name. And right when I sat down and told him about my book,
pull that picture up again. Look at those little hands.
and right when I sat down and told him about this is a big deal.
Okay,
what I'm
go
having
ahead.
about right So I'm sitting with this guy. He was like, not that long ago, was director of CIA, and he went on to be director of NSA. Okay.
Well, I think we can find his name.
Maybe. But right when I sat down and told him about the book, you know what he says to me?
What?
He goes, I didn't read much science fiction as a kid, but I read a lot about Greek mythology. And looked me in the eye. I said, well, you're going to love the last page of my book then. He's all, am I? And when my book was about ready to go to pressing, I had a very important person call me up. He says, can you stop that pressing and maybe insert something about Greek mythology? And I said, I sure can. So something you got to realize is, for example, the 6th biggest defense contractor in the world, at least they used to be 6, is a company called Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC. Their headquarters are actually in San Diego. And in the front of the building, you have an obelisk coming out of a fake lake and 2 Atlantean on thrones. And they're both holding pyramids. And one says the past and one says the future. And they're 8-foot tall statues. It's fucking nuts, by the way. In SAIC, they went over to Lidos.
Michael Hayden, former director of NSA and the CIA.
What about it? No, that's not him. But I'm not gonna tell you if you try and find out. Look at you guys just fishing around over here.
I'll say a name. You blink.
Yeah.
I'll show you my.
No pun intended.
Like what you did there.
That was cute. I'll show you my dick. Like if you get,
wait.
Yeah, there we go.
if you
If you
come
get it
across
right or wrong, not sure what.
yeah, whatever you get, I'm gonna show you my dick.
All right.
Right. Well, I'm going to blow your mind with my technology end of this conversation, which I just read an article yesterday that in China, face recognition is the thing that's going to stop your fantasy of everybody just loving each other and going around. In China, with face recognition, they're able to recognize and categorize Muslims in the country. There's like this one sect of Muslim in China, and they're with all this face recognition that they're seeing, you know, from your phone, from everything. They're starting to catalog the enemy, and they're going to be able to. The police are sharing information, and hotels and everybody, and they're all now through this network know what type of person just walked into this building and whether they're friendly or they're the enemy. And that face recognition thing could end up splitting us apart even more. Old-timey Tommy with his technological facts.
Here, China's Big Brother surveillance technology isn't nearly as all-seeing as the government wants you to think.
This is kind of like they might be able to upgrade it, though. It says
Oh,
it can't
well,
see
for
more
sure.
than
Yeah.
1,000.
Dude,
That's
do you remember
1.0.
when your phone unlocked with your fingerprint and it blew your motherfucking mind? You're like, what, bro? It reads my finger. I can use my
at
pinky.
this.
It even works my pinky. Yeah, I get 5 fingerprints on this motherfucker.
I get to do the side of my thumb, and it still knows.
It says glasses?
It's a cop.
What do you mean?
This is a cop.
That's a
China.
cop with Google Glass.
Yeah, it's got some sort of
Face recognition thing. It's like that Tom
unless
Cruise.
it's
What was that
from
Tom
a
Cruise movie?
I don't know.
Minority Report.
Whoa, was that real?
Yeah.
No,
It's-
but this.
This,
Not
yes,
Tom
I
Cruise.
was one I was like, this could
Tom
be
Cruise
fake
is definitely
and added
real.
in there. I don't know, but
Wow.
it looks real.
That's, I tried a Google Glass on once. I actually went through a whole UFC weigh-ins wearing a Google Glass.
How
And
was
it?
it?
Filming it, I guess. It wasn't ready.
Right.
It wasn't ready, and I think that's
Yeah.
why they haven't upgraded it. They're like,
Yeah.
let's hold off because this is not working. Like,
Yeah, it's
people
been a
are not-
while.
They're not into that dorky shit, and people got super uncomfortable when you were around them. It's like for holding a camera on everybody, like
Yeah.
walking around with a fucking camera everywhere. I think they'll have something eventually, but I have a feeling it'll be something where there's a technology where the outside you can't see things, but on the inside you can, and then they'll show you images like directly in front of you on the lens. So
Right.
like you wear glasses like your glasses, but it'll show you things like, right in front of you. Like
Right.
yeah.
I got one that I heard that I don't know if I understand and believe that this is real, but I've just Googled it and I found something that makes it seem like it. So the next version of the VR headsets are supposed to have brain tracking in them, and that sounds super scary. But it's already like being implemented and tested.
Yeah, you get a knock on your door. All you think about is beating off. What is wrong with you, man? How often do you beat off? No. We thought you were a regular person, but you're beating off 100 times a week. Like, you imagine if they wanted to have a talk to you, like, Mr. Papa, you watched 14 hours of pornography this week.
Yeah.
That seems a lot.
Yeah.
I think your mother would think that seems like a lot, don't you think? I mean, I don't want to talk to her about
Well, they
it.
say employers are going to do that. Insurance companies companies are going to do that, and they're going to be
Find
able
out
to
how much you're beating off.
how much you're beating off, how much you're working out, how much you're sleeping, whether and what.
Look at that. We promise to share only good stuff.
Yeah, right.
What?
Sure.
That's like Google when they said, don't be evil.
Yeah.
They abandoned that. Once you started making money, they fucking painted right over that sign.
Maybe a little evil.
What is evil, man? I mean, what is evil?
Evil schmeevil.
We're going in that direction.
Yeah, man.
It's going in that direction.
Yeah.
It's all going to some sort of a wearable thing that connects you.
But a weird thing that, like, everywhere you're going, they're picking off your face, and then you're going to be able to. They're going to know exactly what you are and who you are, and it's a strange.
It's strange, but is it any more strange than our lives today in comparison to people that lived in 1920, like we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
This is way weirder. The
It's
way we live.
super
we live
weird.
is way weirder.
We're in Weird Town already, for sure. You just hope
you
it
ever-
doesn't get into the hands of people that can really mess with you.
Oh, yeah, the people with the money?
Yeah.
The people with the money and all the control?
Yeah.
They
They're
probably
going to be
won't.
cool with it, right?
Yeah, they'll be great.
They'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine.
Do you have a Alexa in your house?
Alexa.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids do.
My one friend is always trying to tell me, just get that out of your house. It's listening to everything that you say and everything that
Don't
you
say
do.
anything bad in that room.
I had a question about that. Neuralink might be coming on soon or whatever. I was thinking about, like, if it got to the point where, like, say we all got it, and then everyone you knew had it, and there's like 1,000 people that have it, wouldn't we hit a like a threshold point where you're like, not everybody should have this. We're good at this point right here.
Well, how would you ever deny people something like that, though?
The cost, it might be really expensive to
No, but
to
I
have.
mean, how would you ever?
I know.
You can't deny people that want, like, say if someone's coming up and they want to try it and everyone else has it, that would create a giant problem. That'd be like if you said that with cell phones. Too many people have cell phones. We have to stop you. No more buying cell phones.
I know, that's why I sort of think that there might become a big problem with that.
Why?
What
Just
is
because
Neuralink?
I don't. But hold on a second. I don't
know.
understand why you think.
I just sort of think that if, in the theory that you're going to let thousands of people have instant access to the world's knowledge at their at a thought's like instant,
Uh-huh.
that becomes too powerful in the wrong hands. And the people that might have it first might see the future problems of that. I'm just sort of always wondering. I was thinking way too far.
Jamie got high and
Yeah.
watched Superman.
Very high.
That sounds like you got high and watched Superman.
So I guess the answer you say was like, no, that probably won't be a problem. Or
Well, no, I
You
don't.
can't stop it, though.
I don't.
That's sort of what I'm wondering.
I don't think that anyone can say that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what is a problem, though? It's going to be something. It's going to be a something.
Yeah.
So much like we have different shaped aircrafts and fighter jets and cars, they probably have different shapes of these objects that operate under similar principles.
Right, but
Perhaps.
they all have the same power source.
They all have the same power source. And we're also dealing with, if you think about the laws of technological progression, you think of Moore's law and you think of how things accelerate, you've got to think that if this civilization is who knows how many years more advanced than we are, if not even years. I mean, we're thinking about it in terms of conventional terms, right? The way we look at the world. I mean, they might be just superior in terms of their intellect. They've got to be. Maybe. We don't know, right?
Well, the only reason I say that is because, look, everyone doesn't necessarily start at a steam engine and go to an internal combustion engine and then, electric power, nuclear power, and go up the ladder that we come on. The binary, if the stuff is true about the origin and the binary star system, and they have heavier elements that we don't have, and this stable element 115 is a naturally occurring material, maybe that's the first thing they started experimenting with. And the version of their steam engine, their first product, was something that operated like this. And actually, when they came to Earth to look around, or whatever, they were amazed at the stuff we were doing. These guys burned stuff and squirted out the back to go forward. So, who says they follow any kind of normal progression like that?
My thought was, if you went back to the 1400s and then you went from 1400 to 1500, you're not going to see that much of a difference technologically.
Right.
If you go from 2000 to 3000, I assume there's going to be a radical change.
Right. Well, the delta, the rate of change is magnificently higher than it used to be.
Right. So if you think about what they had in 1988 and you think about what they probably have in 2019, just logically, it seems like they would advance.
I would think so.
The only question is, like, are they living? Is that a living thing in terms of like a biological thing, or are they some sort of an artificially created creation like we are working on right now? I mean, we're in the middle of working on artificial reality, artificial beings, sentient beings, artificial intelligence. There's silicon-based life forms that they're essentially trying to create. Boston Dynamics, or was it Boston Dynamics that the company that's
can
making
make
those
robots,
crazy
yeah.
robots? Yeah.
You can make machines out of flesh,
Yeah,
right? So
right.
a cyborg or a cybernetic organism is just that, that's what a lot of people think those like gray things are, that people call the grays.
Yeah.
Is like, they're machines printed from flesh. So what you're saying is like, not
Well, they
so
could just
far
be
off from-
synthetic life.
Synthetic
They don't
life,
even need
yeah.
to be,
Right.
Machines.
Right.
Well,
mean,
they seem to have no sex organs. The way they're described by people that have had interactions with them, assuming these people aren't liars
Right.
or crazy or whatever.
Right.
That they have no sex organs and that they don't seem to have any muscle. They're just almost like a frame.
Right.
And they have enormous heads. I mean, if you look at Australopithecus or depictions of ancient hominids, and then you go to human beings, one of the things you see is bigger heads and weaker bodies.
well, you see
It's
a
almost
clear
like-
progression
yeah.
of evolution,
Yes.
too, where for something like that, I would lean towards a synthetic organism because it
Yes.
looks like it was made for a specific task. There's
Right.
no reproductive organs, so, I mean, that almost kind of leaves out any kind of, physical evolution.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's also our bottleneck, right? Our bottleneck is our biological imperative. The need to breed, emotions, fear, anxiety, all these different things that exist in order to force us into making sure we reproduce. I mean, that's essentially what it is. There are human reward systems that aren't necessary once they can figure out a way to make some sort of sentient artificial life. Some sort of thing that doesn't have these biological limitations that we have.
By the way, these craft, all these different kinds have been reported because it was confusing. I always thought of flying saucers, what I heard Bob Lazar talk about, flying saucer, right? But if you look back in history, people have always reported the weirdest shapes. Like, none of them are alike. There are the saucers, but you got cigar-shaped, you got the top hat shaped, you have orbs. Why? Maybe they're serving different purposes. They're doing different things like we'd use different tools. And I want to be clear, the reason I know that memo is real is because I spent a lot of time with Dr. Edgar Mitchell, sixth man to walk on the moon. Last guy to film him before he died, right? That's how I know. I don't want any journalists thinking I got it from anywhere else. I know because of Dr. Mitchell. And he said the same thing. Maybe these things are performing different tasks, And that's why
they seem, if you think about what an alien is in terms of our the sort of iconic image of an alien, like the Steven Spielberg Close Encounters of the Third Kind alien, they seem like what we'd assume a human being would eventually become.
Right.
And if these things are tiny, human beings are smaller than they've ever been before. They're weaker than they've ever been before. And there seems to be a trend in that direction. And this trend seems to be amplified by our technological progression. There are a lack of need for muscle strength and our lack of need for violence. And we're moving in a society to try to get away from all the things that we think are abhorrent about human beings and the terrible behaviors that we have. If we one day do give birth to some sort of an artificial being, like Marshall McLuhan's quote, "We are the sex organs of the machine world." That one day we...
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah, McLuhan was brilliant. And that quote has always been one of my favorites because, okay, what are we doing when we're constantly technologically innovating? We're constantly looking for faster cars, better computers, bigger screens, faster, more resolution, more pixels, more this, more that, higher bandwidth, 5G, 10G.
Right.
What are we doing? We're moving into this, if you just follow it, objectively stand back, don't attach yourself or your civilization, your culture to it, and look at what it is. We're moving 100% towards technological innovation. If you looked at this species from afar, and if you weren't a part of it, you would say, well, what does this species do? Oh, they make things. They make things better every year. Beehives are the same fucking thing that you see 10 years ago. You go by, you see a beehive, it's amazing, it's cool, but they're the same fucking thing. They figured out how to do it, they make a beehive.
Right.
We don't do that. We make better things
What would you do?
constantly.
And at some point, I think that technology is going to fuse with us.
Yes.
And we're going to become...
It's already happening.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk talked about it on my podcast, that we are cyborgs. You just carry it in your pocket. It's a phone. It answers any question you want. You can talk to it. It'll give you the answers instantaneously. It navigates you. It has all your phone numbers in it. It has all your contacts. You can get a hold of people. People are listening to you through it. It's connecting us in ways even involuntarily.
Haptics, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's also getting on your wrist. How many people have iWatches, Apple Watches? They put them on their wrist.
Right, and that's only because we can't integrate them yet. But you know that point is coming.
100%. Yeah, I didn't joke about it last night, but I have a bit about it that I do, about the integration between humans and technology. That's
What would you do if you were a hyper intelligence, right? Would you do the work yourself, or would you create some cool things called like humans to do it for you? Would you create things that are cybernetic organisms to come in with machines and do it for you? If you were a hyper intelligence that has kind of changed like you've described, you'd probably create workers, right?
Well, that's a vast conspiracy theory.
I'm not talking about conspiracy.
But it is a kind of a conspiracy,
I'm
right?
asking you.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that. I mean, you could look at it that way, but that is the way a conspiracy theorist would look at it. The way I would look at it is like there's obviously a progression going on, a biological progression. There's some sort of an integration with technology. There's some sort of imperative, this need for technological innovation. It's inescapable. Everyone has it. And I think it's attached to materialism in some sort of a strange way, because so many people work so hard to get new things. And like, God, that seems so illogical and preposterous, and it makes people unhappy, and depression's on the rise, but nobody seems to be able to stop it. Like, why is that? Well, maybe it's because we are the electronic caterpillars that give birth to the butterfly. Maybe that's what we're doing.
That
Maybe
could very well be.
What our job is to do is to make some sort of a cocoon, and we don't even know we're doing it while we're doing it. Do you think a caterpillar is aware? Like, hey, caterpillar, what are you doing? Man, I'm doing my thing. It's my job. I have to make a cocoon. Then I'm going to become like a butterfly.
This could be a natural part of evolution.
It could be.
That we're just supposed to do this.
Exactly.
And make the jump to some sort of mechanized...
Right.
Yeah, non-biological.
Have you ever seen an orangutan that is fishing with a spear?
No.
They've figured out how to fish with spears. There's primatologists.
Wait, without somebody showing them how to fish?
No, they've imitated human beings doing it. And now they do it, but they do it independently. They're not trained orangutans. They're wild orangutans. Look at that. There's a wild orangutan.
Okay, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Well, there's these primatologists. I guess you would call them primatologists. That's the term?
That's a great
biologists. Biologists that believe that monkeys and chimps and some of the great apes are moving into the Stone Age, that they've currently entered the Stone Age. Like, they're not staying what they were 100,000 years ago or 500,000 years ago, but they're actively using tools, and they're experimenting with different ways to use those tools. And then they're making tools out of stone. They're making tools out of sticks, and they're using them. Well, this might just be what happens. This might just be what happens. I mean, why else? Why the fuck do we work so hard? I mean, I was driving to L.A. this morning. I had a doctor's appointment, so I was on the 405 at 8 in the morning. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is so crazy. When you're on the 405 in L.A. at 8 o'clock in the morning, you see literally a million cars.
Yeah, red light.
And it's just everywhere you go, it's people. And also, I'm in a Tesla, so I have it on autopilot. So I'm there sitting, I'm listening to a podcast. I barely have my hand on the wheel. I'm not touching shit. This car's driving me along. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just hanging out. It's so much less stress, by the way, to do it that way.
Right.
So it encourages you to innovate.
Yeah.
It encourages you to embrace this new technology. I got this giant screen. It's showing me the navigation in front of me. Oh, I'll be there 5 minutes early. Excellent. And I'm listening to a podcast wirelessly. It's Bluetooth streaming from my phone, and I pulled that podcast, which came out today out of the fucking sky, and I'm listening to it, and I'm all comfortable in my nice little car, just driving on my way to the doctor's office.
This is irresistible stuff.
Yeah. It's different than your Walkman.
Yeah,
back in the day.
It is irresistible. It is irresistible.
It's frighteningly irresistible.
But is it frightening? I mean, if you were a monkey, right? If you were an Australopithecus, would you go, man, I don't want to fucking be a person and live in a house? That's bullshit. I like just swinging around on trees. I like running from jaguars. This is life. Guys, life is running from crocodiles. It's not living in a fucking suburban community.
There's probably some that are like that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think when it comes, we're going to embrace it. We're going to embrace it the same way you embrace cell phones, the same way you embrace television. There's going to be a few holdouts. I don't even have an email address, man. There's a few and far between. Good luck with that, fuckface. Go move to the woods, Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah,
Go live in a
I was
cabin.
just going to throw Ted Kaczynski in there.
Ted Kaczynski was right. This is something that I think about sometimes when I get really high. That Ted Kaczynski was a part of the Harvard LSD studies. This has been proven. Ted Kaczynski, they cooked his fucking brain when he was at Harvard. And then when he went over to Berkeley and became a professor, his goal was to make enough money so that he could implement this program and live in the woods and then write his manifesto and start killing people that were involved in propagating technology.
He was expunged from the Harvard logs, by the way. This is something my friend just called me about. So there's like this private library, and they used to print people's names whenever they were part of a university, and he was one of a handful of people that were expunged from it. I want to jump back to the one thing, Joe. I want to be very careful with that word, conspiracy theorist. What I was saying to you was, we terraform our Earth, right? We terraform, we change the environment, we do all this innovation. What is stopping us from thinking that that's not being done? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying what's stopping us from thinking that that's being done on a much bigger level, on a cosmic level.
You mean like aliens coming down doing that to humans?
No, I'm telling you that there is something here. There's a fact. There's something. They're a craft. They're here. They're not ours. They're here. So the question is, what is that about? And I'm just looking at what we do with what you're describing with technology.
Well,
and
I think it's much more likely that the same way we observe chimps and we observe that they are now in the Stone Age, that they're observing us, and that they're recognizing that there is a pattern, that there's steps that happen. I mean, Carl Sagan talked about the different levels of civilization, and that if we don't get past certain levels, we're never going to reach this.
Right.
I mean, we're
a
in
type
this,
1 civilization.
Yeah.
We're going to stay at type 0.
Well,
yeah.
we're in this warring, polluting, pillaging.
We're awesome.
Civilization.
Humans are awesome.
We're awesome in a lot of ways,
But in that way, we're not.
Well, yeah, we're children that have immense power that we didn't really. The other thing is you're using the immense power that other people have created, right? I mean, even when you're driving a car and you're stomping on the gas, like, woo, you didn't invent the fucking engine. You didn't invent tires. There's all these things that were involved in the creation of this thing that is really outside of your grasp of understanding, but yet you have the ability to use it. Like a person with a gun, I'm just gonna bang, bang, bang people. You didn't invent a gun, so like you've without the intellect to craft and engineer and manifest these creations, you just have access to them because you have paper or you have Bitcoin or you have whatever the fuck you're using a credit card. Now you have almost no responsibility. You could just flippantly use these things, which is why we were very childlike in our actions because we haven't had to earn the responsibility. We haven't had to earn these things that we've been able to have, and you've only been able to have them because other people have innovated and spent ungodly amounts of time and effort and focus in the lab to create these things, and then they've all put them together. And then what's the reason to put them together? To profit. Well, what's the reason to profit? Well, why are you doing this? So you can buy more things. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're making better things. That's what we do. That's all we do.
That's all we do is make better things.
Yeah. Why the fuck do we need oil? Why do we need oil? Why can't we just burn wood and stay home? Why can't we grow chickens and food in the backyard? Why can't we do it? Well, we fucking can. We certainly can. People do it. But we decide to make that almost impossible. Our preferred way of living is to stuff everyone into a very small area where no one grows anything other than weed. And this is what LA is. LA is 20 million people with hard surfaces, as many hard surfaces as you can. Boy, if you got an acre backyard in LA, holy shit, look at all that green. This is amazing. Well, no, that's the fucking earth coming through this weird sort of creation that we've put on top of the earth. But the goal is that, like New York City, there's none of it. Right? You've got Central Park, and they just got human shit. Humans stacked up. No one's growing anything. And then constant work. Everyone's up early. Go, go, go. Innovate, progress, make that money so you can buy more things. And every year, hey, Apple, where's this fucking new phone? As if your phone isn't good enough. Like your phone's taking pictures and videos, and people are calling you, and you got applications that tell you which way the wind's blowing. It's not good enough.
A blink of an eye, it's all gone, though, that, like 10,000 years and the Hoover Dam goes or whatever, Mount Rushmore disintegrates. So it's amazing because we have created that and everything's trying to spring up through that. We keep it maintenance down, but we're a blink, man. Something hits.
But we don't think that way. Well, you think in terms of your own life, right? You think in terms of what you want and what you need right now. We are in many ways this combination of this weird primitive ape-like thing with the ability to calculate and manipulate our world and our environment that makes us wholly unique. On top of that, with existential angst and fear. So what do you do with that? We fucking water it down with antidepressants. Give these fucking people some shit that keeps them moving. Well, they're worried about the future. They're trying to figure out what reality is. You're on a goddamn convertible spaceship spinning 1,000 miles an hour, hurling through infinity. There's no meaning to this thing. Just keep making shit. Keep making stuff. And then one day they're going to be able to hit that switch and this life will be born out of innovation and thinking and progress and technology. And more than likely, it's probably going to be what we're seeing that these things are that you're observing.
Mm-hmm. I'm not observing them, but yeah.
Well, someone's observing.
Are you implying that they're us?
I don't think they are us, but I think they are what happens when things keep going. Mm-hmm. It's not us, just like we're not monkeys, right? I'm not a chimp.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Like.
They're from here, is your idea?
No. That this is what happens all over the universe.
Yes, right. Yeah, totally.
That this is what happens. Look, here's the thing. I went to see Brian Cox's. He has this amazing live show with Robin Ince where they have these LED screens, these huge screens with high resolution depictions of the cosmos. And one of the most mind-blowing things was he has this large-scale image of the universe, and it shows all the individual galaxies of the universe, and it just keeps moving through all these galaxies in 3 dimensions. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking incredible. But what's stunning is the relative uniformity of it, even at, you're obviously looking at an incredibly small depiction of something that's immensely large, like a galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars. You're seeing it as this little dot, but this little dot that's flying through space, surrounded by other little darts with very similarly spaced distances
homogeneous all through,
So I'm like, if we see uniformity in that form, in terms of like the distance between galaxies, like so many galaxies, it's so similar. They might vary slightly, and that slightly might be hundreds of millions of light years, right? But there's so much uniformity. Why would we not assume that uniformity exists pretty much everywhere, and that all these things that you're seeing that are so similar, you do see binary star systems, you do see single star systems like star, but there's also some speculation that Earth and that our solar system one time was a binary star system. I was watching a talk that you were giving, and you were talking about the growth of innovation and technology and GDP over the last 100 years, and you were talking about the entire history of life on Earth and what a short period of time humans have been here, and then during what a short period of time, what a stunning amount of innovation and how much change we've enacted on the Earth in just a blink of an eye. And you had the scale of GDP over the course of the last 100 years. It's crazy because it's so difficult for us with our current perspective, just being a person living, going about the day-to-day life that seems so normal, to put it in perspective time-wise and see what an enormous amount of change has taken place in relatively an incredibly short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, we think of this as sort of the normal way for things to be. The idea that the alarm wakes you up in the morning, and then you commute in and sit in front of a computer all day, and you try not to eat too much, and that if you sort of imagine that, maybe in 50 years or 100 years or at some point in the future it's going to be very different, that's like some radical hypothesis. But of course, this quote-unquote normal condition is a huge anomaly any which way you look at it. I mean, if you look at it on geological timescale, the human species is very young. If you look at it historically, for more than 90%, we were just hunter-gatherers running around, and agriculturalists what the last couple of 100 years, when some parts of the world have escaped the Malthusian condition, where you basically only have as much income as you need to be able to produce 2 children. and we have the population explode. Like all of this is very, very, very recent. And in space as well, of course, almost everything is ultra high vacuum, and we live on the surface of this little special crumb. And yet we think this is normal and everything else is weird. But I think that's a complete inversion. And so when you do plot, if you do plot, for example, world GDP, which is a kind of rough measure for the total amount of productive capability that we have, right? If you plot it over 10,000 years, what you see is just a flat line and then a vertical line. And you can't really see any other structure. Like it's so extreme, the degree to which humanity's productive capacity. So if one looks at this picture and we imagine this is now the normal, this is the way it's going to be now, indefinitely. It just can't seem a prima facie implausible. Like it sort of doesn't look like we are in a static period right now. It looks like we're in the middle of some kind of explosion.
Explosion. And oddly enough, everyone involved in the explosion, everyone that's innovating, everyone that's creating all this new technology, they're all a part of this momentum that was created before they were even born. So it does feel normal. They're just a part of this whole spinning machine, and they jump in, they're born, they go to college, next thing you know, they have a job, and they're contributing, they're making new technology, and then more people jump in and add on to it, and there's very little perspective in terms of like the historical significance of this incredible explosion technologically. When you look at what you're talking about, that gigantic spike, no one feels it, which is one of the weirdest things about it.
I mean, you kind of expect every year there will be a better iPhone or whatever, right?
If not, we'd be upset.
For almost all of human history, people lived and died, and so absolutely no technological change. And in fact, you could have many, many generations. The very idea that there was some trajectory in the material conditions is a relatively new idea. I mean, people thought of history either as, some kind of descent from a golden age, or some people had a cyclical view, but it was all in terms of political organization. That would be a great kingdom, and then a wise ruler would rule for a while, and then like a few hundred years later, their great-grandchildren would be too greedy, and it would come into anarchy, and then a few hundred years later, it would come back together again.
Yes.
So it would be all these kind of the pieces moving around, right? But no new pieces really entering, or if they did, it was at such a slow rate that you didn't notice. But over the eons, the wheel slowly turns, and somebody makes a slightly better wheel. Somebody figures out how to, irrigate a lot better. They breed better crops, and eventually there is enough that you could have enough of a population, enough brains, that then create more ideas at a quick enough rate that you get this industrial revolution, and that's where we are now, I think.
Elon Musk had the most terrifying description of humanity. He said that we are the biological bootloader for artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're here for.
Well, bootloaders are important.
They are important, but I think there's like objectively and there's personally. Like objectively, if you were outside of the human race and you were looking at all these various life forms competing on this planet for resources and for survival, you would look at humanity and you go, well, clearly it's not finished. So there's going to be another version of it. It's like, when is this version going to take place? Is it going to take place over millions and millions of years like it has historically when it comes to biological organisms? Or is it going to invent something that takes over from there, and then that's the new thing? Something that's not based on tissue, something that's not based on cells. It doesn't have the biological limitations that we have, nor does it have all the emotional attachments to things like breeding, social dominance, hierarchies. All those things are no consequence to it. It doesn't mean anything because it's not biological.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think millions of years. I mean, on a number of decades or whatever. But it's interesting that even if we set that aside, we say machine intelligence is possible for some reason. Let's just play with that. Then I still think that would be very rapid change, including biological change. And I mean, we are doing great advances, making great advances in biotech as well, and will increasingly be able to control what our own organisms are doing through different means, and enhance human capacities through biotechnology. And so even there, a lot is not going to happen overnight, but over an historically very short period of time, I think you would still see quite profound change just from applying bioscience to change human capacities.
Yeah, one of the technologies or one of the things that's been discussed to sort of mitigate the dangers of artificial intelligence is a potential merge, some sort of symbiotic relationship with technology that you hear discussed. Like, I don't know exactly how Elon's Neuralink works, but it seems like a step in that direction. There's some sort of a brain implant that interacts with an external device, and all of this increases the bandwidth for available intelligence and knowledge.
Yeah, I'm sort of skeptical that will work. I mean, good that somebody tries it, but I think it's quite technically hard to improve a normal, healthy human being's say cognitive capacity or other capacities by implanting things in them, and get benefits that you couldn't equally well get by having the gadget outside of the body. So I don't need to have an implant to be able to use Google, right? And there are a lot of advantages to having it external. You can kind of upgrade it very easily.
You can shut it off.
Hopefully you could do that even with implant. And once you start to look into the details, there's sort of these kind of demos. But then if you actually look at the papers, often you find, and then there were these side effects, and the person had headaches, or they had some deficit, and the speech, infections. Like, it's just, biology is messy.
Yes.
Maybe it will work better than I expect. That could be good. But otherwise, I think that the place where it will first become possible to enhance kind of human biological capacities would be through genetic selection, which is technologically something very near.
You mean like CRISPR type?
Well, so that would be editing, right? When you actually go in and change things. That also is moving.
What do you mean by selection?
Well, so this would just be in the context of, say, in vitro fertilization. You have usually some half dozen or dozen embryos created during this fertility procedure, which is standardly used. So rather than just the doctor kind of looking at these embryos and saying, well, that one looks healthy, I'm going to implant that, you could run some genetic test and then use that as a predictor and select the one you think has the most desirable attributes.
And so this could be a trend in terms of how human beings reproduce, that we, instead of just randomly having sex, woman gets pregnant, gives birth to a child, we don't know what it's going to be, what's going to happen. We just hope that it's a good kid. Instead of that, you start looking at all the various components that we can measure.
Yeah, and so, I mean, to some extent we already do this. There are a lot of testing done for various chromosomal abnormalities that you can already check for. But our ability to look beyond clear, stark diseases that is one gene is wrong, like to look at more complex traits is increasing rapidly. So obviously there are a lot of ethical issues and different views that come into that. But if we're just talking what is technologically feasible, I think that I mean, already you could do a very limited amount of that today, and maybe you would get 2 or 3 IQ points in expectation more if you selected using current technology based on 10 embryos, let us say. So very small. But as genomics gets better at deciphering the genetic architecture of complex traits, whether it's intelligence or personality attributes, then you would have more selection power and you could do more. And then there is a number of other technologies we don't yet have, but which if you did would then kind of stack with that and enable much more powerful forms of enhancement. So there, I don't think there are any major technological hurdles really in the way, just some small amount of incremental further improvement.
That's when you talk about doing something with genetics and human beings and selecting for the superior versions. And then if everybody starts doing that, the ethical concerns, when you start discussing that, people get very nervous because they start to look at their own genetic defects and they go, oh my God, what if I didn't make the cut?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be here. And you start thinking about all the imperfect people that have actually contributed in some pretty spectacular ways to what our culture is. And like, well, if everybody has perfect genes, would all these things even take place? Like, what are we doing really if we're bypassing nature and we're choosing to select for the traits and the attributes that we find to be the most positive and attractive? Like, what are like that?
Right. And you think what would have happened if, say, some earlier age had this ability to kind of lock in their their prejudices, or if the Victorians had this, maybe we would all be whatever, pious and patriotic now or something.
Yeah, who knows? Like the Nazis.
So in general, with all of these powerful technologies we are developing, there is, I think the ideal course would be that we would first gain a bit more wisdom, and then we would get all of these powerful tools. But it looks like we're getting the powerful tools before we have really achieved a very high level of wisdom.
Yeah. We haven't earned them. The people that are using them are sort of we haven't, like, think about the technology that all of us use. How many pieces of technology do you use in a day, and how much do you actually understand any of those? Most people have very little understanding of how any of the things they use work. They put no effort at all into creating those things, but yet they've inherited the responsibility of the power that those things possess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way we can do it. It's just way too complex for any person. If you had to sort of learn how to build every tool you use, like you wouldn't get very far.
Isn't that fascinating, though, when you think about human beings and all the different things we do? We have very little understanding of the mechanisms behind most of what we need for day-to-day life. Yet we just use them because there's so many of us and so many people are understanding various parts of all these different things that together collectively we can utilize the intelligence of all these millions of people that have innovated, and we, with no work whatsoever, just go into the Verizon store and pick up the new phone.
Yeah, I mean, and not just technology, but worldviews and political ideas as well. It's not as if most people sit down with an empty table, try to think from the basic principles up what would be the ideal configuration of the state or something like that.
Yeah.
You just kind of absorb it and go with it. You float in the stream of culture, and it's amazing just how little of that actually at any point channels through your sort of conscious attention, where you make some rational, otherwise, but like deliberate decision. Most you just get carried away with. But that again, I mean, if this is what we have to work with, then there's no other way.
There's no other way.
Possibly, no.
There's no other way, and there's no way. Even like you and I discussing this, like discussing the history of this incredible spike of evolution or innovation rather in technology, it just doesn't feel like anything. It feels normal. So even though we can intellectualize it, even though we can have this conversation, talk about what an incredible time we're in and how terrifying it is that things are moving at such an incredibly rapid rate, and no one's putting the brakes on it. No one's thinking about the potential pros and cons. We're just pushing ahead.
Yeah. Well, not nobody. No.
Not no
I mean,
one,
there are a few people. I've got my research group.
Yes.
There's actually increased. I mean, when I got interested in these things in the 90s, and it was very much a fringe activity. There was some internet mailing list, some people exchanging ideas. But since then, I mean, there's now a small set of academic research institutes and some other that are kind of actually trying to do more systematic thinking about some of these big picture topics.
Did you know that horses originally evolved here in North America?
No.
And then they went extinct here, but then they reintroduced them.
Really?
The Europeans did, yeah. There's a guy named Dan Flores. He's got a bunch of great books, and one of them is called Coyote America. He's got another one. What is his other book about the various large land animals that went extinct here in North America, but that the wolf and a lot of the other ones. What is it?
Serengeti.
That's it.
The Natural West also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. And essentially, they all went extinct. All the horses went extinct here, and then they were reintroduced by Europeans. But they had originally evolved here in North America.
I didn't know that.
So there's no evidence that any of the native people here really used them until Europeans came, whether it was Cortez or whoever, Cortez with the Aztecs or whoever else came across.
A horse is so much a part of this story.
Yeah.
So they come over with the Spanish. The Spanish are acutely aware of what is going to happen if the horse technology gets out, and they take great pains to not let it get out. They don't want to teach the Indians in Mexico or the Indians in North America how to use them. But inevitably, the technology does get out. And then there's a few moments. There's a great moment in time in 1680 in Santa Fe when there's a great Pueblo revolt and they kick the Spanish out and like tens of thousands of horses get out. It's the great horse dispersal. And these are the horses that come into the hands of these Plains tribes.
So it was in the 1600s that their power and their dominance started to assert itself?
Begins.
So how did the Comanches figure out how to have all these horses and how valuable that was, where some of the other tribes just hadn't kind of caught on?
No one knows, and it's interesting, no one knows that because it was only seen in flashes by the Spanish through their kind of northern outposts. No one exactly knows what it was, in the heart and soul of a Comanche that could do that better than anybody else. But and in fact, Comanches, by all descriptions of the time, were not, pre-horse anyway, graceful people. They were kind of short and kind of, bow-legged, and they weren't especially graceful, and they didn't look like perhaps you would think of the northern Sioux Indians of the Nickel. I mean, that kind of tall and with the bone structure. That wasn't the Comanches. And then they got on a horse, and then everything changed. And even though the Apaches were the first ones to actually get that technology from the Spanish, and they raised havoc with it, but the tribe that got it the best and the most were the Comanches. They were the tribe that actually ended up supplying horses to a lot of the northern plains tribes that we just talked about. And what they did once they had this incredible mastery of the horse and this ability to hunt like they never had and fight like they never had, they did what you would, I guess, expect the great new power in the plains. And the plains are a big place, by the way. I mean, the great new power in the plains is going to challenge for the greatest food source out in mid-America, and that was the buffalo herds. And they were in the southern plains. So the Comanches, over a period of 150 years of sustained combat, moved south from the Wind River Mountains of Wyoming, essentially into this 250,000 square mile empire. Think of kind of headquartered in the Texas Panhandle, which is where the buffalo were.
And this tribe, they were known for being buffalo hunters, and they were also known, they weren't really like making artwork or doing a lot of the things that we sort of associate with other Native American tribes. They were mostly just hunting and raiding.
And the things that we all would associate with Native Americans, this wonderful abilities in dance and music, complex religion, and complex religious social structures to go along with it, and all these different things, music and dance and all these things. The Comanches, by the time that the kind of Anglo-Europeans run into them, they are a stripped-down culture that looks more like Sparta. And one of the reasons they are is because they've been fighting this long war, primarily against the Apaches, but against other tribes, over decades. And during that time, as they became ascendant militarily, they became less interested in those things. They became interested in war conveyed status, right? War conveyed numbers of ponies and status and the thing. And so, yes, they were a stripped-down war culture. I guess to whatever extent we know or something about Sparta, it would remind you of Sparta.
That's what's so interesting about it is it's such a unique tribe, just a very unique branch of Native Americans that was specifically like this.
They made war and they conquered. And when you think about what they got themselves finally, it's about, I said 250,000 square miles, which probably doesn't mean anything, but think of West Texas, western Oklahoma, western Kansas, eastern Colorado, and eastern New Mexico. Gigantic chunks of that was theirs. And when you think also of the numbers of them that were there when say the Anglo-Europeans and the Americans came through in the 1830s, there was probably 25 or 30,000 of them out there, of which 5,000 or 6,000 warriors. Now, I don't know what 5,000 or 6,000 suggests to you, but it suggests to me like the third baseline at Yankee Stadium or something. It's not very many people, occupying this gigantic area that became, as I was saying earlier, determinant of everything that happened around.
Yeah, never be around other humans.
Do you know what happened to the Unabomber? Do you know how that happened?
The brother?
Yeah.
Because he was pedantic.
Oh yeah, it was that, but it was also the Unabomber himself. Ted Kaczynski was part of the Harvard LSD studies.
Was he?
Yeah, they cooked his brain.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a documentary about it called The Net.
Someone wrote a great tweet where they go, plot twist, Greta Thunberg grows up to become the Unabomber in a redemption arc. I'm like, that is hilarious. Because he was a violent environmentalist and a very bright man.
He's a professor at Berkeley. So he went to school at Harvard. They put him in the Harvard LSD studies. They cooked his fucking dome. And then he disappeared, went to Berkeley, worked as a professor to earn enough money so he could buy a cabin and implement his plan to kill everybody who was involved in technology so he'd stop this takeover of the human race, which probably is true.
Yeah. John Waters, the director, he has a replica of the Unabomber's cabin as a room in his house. Isn't that great? I love that.
Who's got the real cabin?
Oh, that's a good question.
It was at a museum, I think, that actually just closed, so I don't know where it's going to go now. There was a museum called the Newseum in
New York.
I think it just closed because they couldn't.
Traveling exhibit. Wait, they took the whole cabin and reconstructed it?
I believe I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
Oh.
We need to find it.
Wow, that's really cool.
We need to find it.
I love stuff like that.
I do too.
I did an article years ago about all these relics. Like, where's Monica Lewinsky's dress? And like she's got it hidden somewhere.
Do you think she does?
Yeah, the article people did research. She still has it somewhere.
Oh my God, what a nightmare for poor Bill. You get your dick sucked in 94 and this lady's still carrying that jizz-stained dress. Like, Jesus Christ, lady, let it go. He's probably going, well, she's probably thrown it away by now. No, Bill, never.
Listen, oh wow.
Wow. So
I thought that was a replica.
I mean, it says it was it, and it closed
Holy crap.
last week.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's at. Wow. At the moment.
That is amazing.
They closed last week?
Storage,
I missed it by a week?
Yeah.
Shit. That could have been out here, bro.
Wow.
We could have, that'd probably be an expensive buy. Probably like me and Marilyn Manson auctioning against each other.
Things too.
I guess we're just going to have to mail someone a bomb.
He would probably buy it.
Who, Manson?
Yeah.
Oh,
is
that's
that the manifesto?
Yeah, original copy.
That's the original? Holy crap.
That's dark.
Everyone tells me to read it. I haven't read it, but they said it's very smart.
I read parts of it. That's one of the things that's disturbing. It's just like well thought out. And also the argument is sound. Technology will inevitably lead to better technology, which inevitably leads to artificial intelligence, which is inevitably going to take over the world.
Well, there's that whole singularity thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the Ray Kurzweil? And I don't know, I haven't checked in years, but I don't know if we're on track with what he predicted. I think we're supposed to be further along. Because remember in the 50s there were going to be flying cars, and there's no flying cars.
Yeah. He's a 2045 guy. And what he says is that the exponential increase of technology, if you follow it to... The prediction is somewhere in the neighborhood of 2045 they'll achieve this singularity.
Yeah, but I think they're also finding now that there actually is somewhat asymptotic, and it does at a certain point you are having like physical limitations to increasing the speed, and it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, well then quantum supremacy comes along. Do you know they're trying to change the name of quantum supremacy because it confuses people with white supremacy, and we really shouldn't support that. So we need to change quantum supremacy.
They had, was it IBM or whatever, had the quantum computer, and the other people were like, this isn't really quantum because it's blah, 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 blah. This was a big controversy just in the last month.
Those quantum people.
I found its new location. After the Montana Historical Society tried to get it, it now exists at this fun place.
The FBI experience?
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Christ.
They own it. So there's like a new
interdivisional cooperation. FBI.
Oh dun, dun, dun. Just a propaganda house.
Wow.
Oh, God.
So they wanted to get... so he was in Montana when he was blowing everybody up.
Someone tried to buy the land, I guess, or it was for sale at one time, but whoever runs this museum tried to get a hold of it, and I guess the FBI said, we're going to keep it.
Yeah, I can understand why they would want to, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's probably very valuable. People probably will go to the FBI museum specifically just to see that cabin.
No one wants to go to the FBI museum otherwise. Would you go to the FBI museum?
No.
His
His brother suspect that he was doing it
Well, you know why?
before the manifesto, or did he read the manifesto and then?
Well, because the Unabomber, as a kid, was always annoyed by people saying you could have your cake and eat it too. Because he's like, no, it's you can eat your cake and have it too. And the Unabomber used that phrase, air quotes, correctly. And the guy's like, that's my brother. And that's how they figured it out, because he was being a pedantic dick. Yeah. So everyone who's correcting people on spelling on Twitter, shut up and relax.
Oh, that's crazy. I thought he just recognized the style of writing.
No, I mean, double check me, but I'm 90% sure this is correct.
You're saying that now.
Eat your cake and have it too.
It's actually ringing a bell.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's
But imagine like that if he was a normal guy and they just filled him up with acid and it made him say, "Oh my God, the technology's going to take over." And he's just started his calling in life is to kill the people that are advancing technology with bombs.
When you're that smart, you're already kind of tripping, because regular people don't seem like the same thing as you do.
Right. And maybe a little schizophrenic, and then they fill him up with a fucking half a gallon of acid.
Like, how much did they give him, do you know?
Who knows? They were experimenting with people.
I'm sure it's not going to be small doses.
Do you know what Operation Midnight Climax is?
No.
It's one of my favorite fucked up CIA experiments they ever did. They went to brothels, and they set up a brothel with all these prostitutes and these johns, and they dosed all the guys and used hidden cameras.
And do you know what else?
So, because the guys couldn't talk about it. Because, like, what happened to you, Harry? Somebody gave me a Mickey. They slipped me a Mickey, and I had a bad time. Where'd this happen, Harry? Oh, I don't know. I guess I was at the diner or something. You can't say, I went to the whorehouse trying to get my dick sucked, and they gave me acid, these assholes. You can't say that.
And we've been trained since kindergarten that if someone says the CIA has experimented on regular people, they will tell you, and admitted it, they will tell you with a straight face that that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
They will just use that word and stop thinking.
Yeah.
And we've been trained for decades. And it's like, wait a minute. We've been hearing 3 years that there was a conspiracy between Trump and the Putin administration. That's a conspiracy, whether it's true or not. Epstein was a conspiracy. He was conspiring with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Weinstein, Bill Cosby. These are all conspiracies that are widely known. But as soon as you hear that term, like racist, conversation's over. I don't need to hear anything else. It's amazing.
Oh, you believe in conspiracy theories? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What, 9/11 didn't happen?
Come on. I mean, if you do get to do this, here's another problem, okay? Here's a big one for the ocean. We're depleting it of seafood, of life. I mean, I had, how do you say his name again? Sahoyas, right? Louis Sahoyas, who directed The Cove on.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the deplenishing of the wildlife in the ocean. And when you start looking at it on a grand scale, like how much fish they're pulling out of the oceans, it's very sobering,
Sure.
Maybe you can come up with a way to replenish the fish in the ocean so we can continue eating sushi. What do you think?
So maybe just zoom out a bit and realize because of course plastic pollution, climate change, overfishing, I think it's all part of one big problem to make civilization sustainable. And the way I look at it is that, of course, over the past 200 years, humanity has made tremendous progress. So, of course, since agricultural revolution 10,000 years ago, humanity has been kind of stagnant, no progress, or just very, very slow progress. Number of people, lifespan, it was all kind of flat. Nothing really happened. And then since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, and when we learned how to utilize science and our knowledge, collective knowledge, to turn that into progress, basically every possible metric for humanity has improved tremendously. And if you think of wealth, health, violence, education, rights, all these things. I know you've had Steven Pinker on. He's much more knowledgeable on that topic than I am. So truly, at this point in time, it has never been a better time to be alive for humans than today. Not saying that it can't get better, but we have made tremendous progress by, on one hand, imagining things that don't exist yet, so inventing technologies and also inventing institutions. And on the other hand, our human ability to collaborate effectively in large numbers, which includes the corporation, which is a very effective way for people to work together. Now, all that progress has also had its negative side effects, which are most pronounced, of course, in the area of the environment, where I think we put things into an environment that shouldn't belong there, and we take too much out of it, then nature can replenish, which includes the fish, and on the other hand, you have the plastic going into the environment, etc. So then the question is, well, how do we solve that? And of course, one hand is to say, okay, it's kind of maybe the Luddite is maybe a bit of a negative way to phrase it, but the sort of reactionary approach of saying, okay, we should consume less, corporations are bad, technology is bad, we should all get rid of all those things. And I think the environment, the modern environmental movement, which is really kind of this romantic movement, has this image of back in the day, everything was great and we lived in harmony with nature. So let's get rid of all this modernity and try and return to that pure original state. What I, however, believe is that, first of all, I don't think it's a very realistic thing. People want to keep their iPhones and their cars, and people want to move forward. And at the same time, I don't think it's really the most effective way to solve these problems, because it would be like fighting a leopard tank with bow and arrow. Technology is nothing more than an enabler of human capabilities. It enhances our power. So why not use that power to also try and solve these problems as well? So rather than try and reject business, reject technology, I truly believe that we should embrace those forces that make us human and has created this amazing world, to also try and solve these negative side effects as well. And that's why I believe the overconsumption of fish is not going to end by people all becoming vegan, but rather through fake meat. I think that the transport emissions are not going to be solved by people not flying anymore or not going anywhere anymore. Realistically, people are going to fly more, so we better invent technologies that allow people to do that without harming the environment. And the same thing, I think, would be the case for plastic and really other energy uses as well.
No, I think that's a very wise way of looking at it, and it's a hopeful way of looking at it. And it's funny that today you kind of even though you're dealing with statistics and factual information, like the fact that it's safer to live today, there's less violent crime, it's easier to get by, there's more technology, more innovation, medical technologies improve radically. All these things are true, but you still have to say it's not where we want it to be.
Right.
I'm not saying that the world's you have to say that, even even though it's the worry about people barking at you. So worry about people. It's still terrible in parts of the world. It's still terrible for people of color. It's still terrible for trans. It's still. I get it. No one's saying that there's not room for improvement, but you have to say that. You, even though you felt compelled, you're like, it's still not perfect.
Yeah, and I wonder why it's so controversial. I think it's important to learn from the things that we do well and then apply that.
I don't think it is that controversial. I think it's a trick.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of people looking for every single opportunity to complain, even to someone like you who has objectively done nothing but good. You say one thing, Steven Pinker took a ton of heat for saying that, and even though he's talking about actual scientific statistics, he's not saying the world's perfect and everyone should shut up. What he's saying is we should look at this, from a bird's eye view, look down and understand that although there's much work to be done, we're in a great place in comparison to the rest of human history.
Sure, and it's hopeful to realize that progress is possible. Just imagine that there's something that feels intuitively right, as if every step forward would also have to equal a step backward elsewhere.
Yes. And
I don't think that's the case. There's plenty of things that you can invent that are not that. And we see it, for example, with carbon right now, that there's countries where, like Sweden, GDP has grown a lot past 20 years, carbon emissions has gone down. So they call that the decoupling. And I think what's really the main challenge in this century is to decouple human progress from those negative side effects. And I think the way to do that is not reactionary. It's really, again, through innovation and through collaboration.
I agree with you, and I think that a lot of times people just assume that these are the consequences of innovation, that there's a pro and a con to everything, because there have been so many things that are inventions where there are a pro and a con to it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way.
No, and even if things have a pro and a con, it doesn't mean the pro is as big as the con.
Right.
So, and if that would be the case, every technology would be neutral, and it wouldn't matter what you invent, but it would mean that an atomic bomb is morally as neutral as an ocean cleanup system, which I just don't find plausible. So I do believe that inventors, entrepreneurs, they put a certain morality into their creations, into their technology. There is a certain use that you prescribe with your invention. I mean, you don't use nuclear bombs to wash your car, right? I mean, you use it not for benign uses, unless maybe you want to terraform Mars, which some people propose to do with atomic bombs. I don't know whether that's a good idea. I don't think technology is neutral. It has a morality. So what that means is that as long as we consistently develop net positive technologies, eventually the world does get better and better. If, say, a technology is 60% good and maybe has 40% downside, okay, but then we can invent a solution for that 40%, and maybe that's again net positive, and you kind of get this cascade of ever improving world.
No, I think what you're saying sounds beautiful. And if more people thought the way you're thinking, I think the world would be a better place. I like the positivity. I like the optimism and what you're thinking, particularly in terms of what's possible with innovation.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think that being against something is very productive.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really move us forward. So rather than protesting against the things that I don't agree with, and there's certainly things that I don't agree with, but again, I don't think it's very helpful. Rather than doing that, I'd much rather build towards a future that I do agree with.
Listen, man, I think what you're saying is very, very logical. I wish more people thought like you. You're a great role model for a lot of kids to use your energy in a positive direction. It can be done.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we agree with it.
Now people are going to be ready and quick to just second guess anything that you say.
Yeah, that's a fact. Until we can read each other's minds, till we can find out for sure. That's going to change the whole game.
Being able to read somebody's mind?
Yeah.
That's definitely going to eliminate a lot of street fights.
Most of them.
I mean, you talk about your imminent danger senses are going to be 100% if you can read somebody's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to do that.
I do.
I like having secrets.
I'm all in. I like having secrets too, but I like going all in. I think all in. I think it's just inevitable. We were talking about it in the last podcast about there's something they're going to be able to shoot into your neck. What did he say? The way he described it?
Like an injection that will take over, sort of.
Well, the way it interacts with your brain cells.
Thread.
Itself into your brain cells. So literally like I think we're going to have built-in Wi-Fi internet systems where we're connected to each other's heads.
So this is what people request, or it's like a study they're going to try out on people? Or you could just go to your doctor and say, shoot me with the brain shit.
I think eventually it's going to be shoot me with the brain shit. First, you got to get it on a clinical trial.
Right.
First, you got to be willing to be
who do you get for that? Like heroin addicts or crackheads? Who do you get for that? Like, who is close to no brain cells and shit? And that's the one we tried on.
But what was that movie? There was a movie where a dude got shot and they put some chip in his back.
Upgrade.
Yeah. And it did that to him. It turned him, he had access to all the information. He knew martial arts. He knew how to move. And everything was happening he was basically like a supercomputer inside of a person that could do everything.
Artificial intelligence is right down the line.
Dude, they're talking about this shit, shooting it into your brain. We're going to share a network. We're all going to be on a network.
Well, there's going to be a lot of white people joining that effort because black people don't fuck with needles, bruh. We don't do none of that. Unless it's heroin, we don't take out needles like that, bruh.
I'm telling you say that, but how many athletes are on steroids?
Yeah, but that's a different animal. I'm talking about the average black dude.
I know. That's
Brooklyn,
true.
Brownsville, or Watts or something like that. Yo, I got this new brain shit we injected through a needle. They gonna fuck you up. They don't want to hear that shit.
That's hilarious, and that's probably true. I mean, how many people are going to try that? Like, who's going to be the earliest adopter getting a shot in your neck that lets you read everybody's mind?
And then what are you going to do with it? It's an interesting thing.
It's going to fuck our job up, man. Because like half of what we do is say shocking shit that people know is kind of true, but you can't believe you're saying it.
And then you'll have people in the audience like, oh, not the old went to the subway joke coming up. If you could do that, that'd be the ultimate fucking joke hater right there. Oh, yeah. Two guys walking the bar. You don't got anything other than that? Nah, I think I'll have to pass on that. Keep it, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
When would you get it? Like, would you want to be the first comedian to have it?
No, you almost want to be a fool who doesn't have it. If you want to be a comedian, yeah.
I want to watch other motherfuckers do it first.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll sit in the back.
But the problem is they're gonna fucking take over like finances like instantly. They're gonna as soon as they upload their brain, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna get all this money. I'm gonna figure out a way to get all this fucking money. And then by the time you shoot it into your head, they've already got the system locked down.
But see, you have different level of people that you hang out with because your level be like, well, how are we gonna get the money? But my level be like, yo, we got this brain shit. How we gonna get some ass off of this, dog?
You can get it. You'll be more
if
clever.
you can read a broad mind, you get all the ass you want.
All of it, yeah, you would know. But then it wouldn't be fun. Like half the fun is not knowing if somebody likes you. Right? You don't know what's gonna happen here. Is this gonna work out?